Hey everyone, a nerd named Mark here. Sorry for the delay of my Geats review. I am currently sick with what I assuming is possibly the flu. And I was just tired. I worked so much. So I was really burnt out. I did a community post saying, hey, things are gonna be delayed. I'm just tired. And I thought it was honestly I was just kind of burnt out and just tired from work, but then I started getting sick. So I was like, shit, man, I want to talk about Geats because I have things to say about this episode. So sorry about my voice. It's gonna be very chopped up and edited because of coughing and everything else. Literally, I've been going through and blowing my nose like crazy. Um, and yeah, I'm just sick. So let's jump right into episode 31 of Geats because yeah, gotta hydrate, electrolytes, and also it'll stop me from coughing. So I'm so happy this is the last round of the JGP. This has been probably my least favorite part of the season so far is the Jamato Grand Prix itself. Not the arc as a whole, just the Jamato Grand Prix. I feel like the episodes and the games for them have just been kind of lackluster. And I get it because we're pushing more character story and more plot forward, so the games aren't as important from a story standpoint, except for a few things here and there. Um, one of the cool things is I was like, all right, we already had our Neon episode, 2 episode arc, giving her some more backstory and character development. She's not even in this episode; she's mentioned, because I'm assuming, like most people, this will be a Kawa episode because we start off with Sarah being on screen. I was like, yay, she's back. We get the interaction with her and Kawa. And, you know, she's all upset and distraught because Nan hasn't been streaming in a while. She's such a big fan. Even Kawa brings up, this is the only time she's brought up, oh, maybe she's finding a new home because, she doesn't have a home right now. Remember? From last episode. So I'm like, okay. Um, and I was like, cool, we're gonna get some interaction, maybe some story development between those two. But then the final round starts up, and it's like a hybrid of Twister and some other stuff. Like there's little circles with colors, and I was like, oh, that's cool. We see this imitation goddess of creation that appears that kind of looks like an old school PS1 era Final Fantasy JRPG boss, and I like the design of it actually. I like that design more than I do of the regular Goddess of Creation. I was like, this looks pretty cool. I like this. This is neat. Um, and we see the city float up into the air, the game area. So basically, when because it's like Twister, so when a color is picked, that color circle disappears, and whoever's standing on it falls to their doom. And I was like, okay, like this makes sense. Uh, But the whole entire thing, it's like heaven and hell. The whole thematic of this game is paralleling the DGP almost 100% because we find out, that basically everyone who loses in the DGP, their happiness is taken and stored up by the goddess of creation, and then that stored up uh, happiness is used to fulfill the wish of the winner. So it's basically sacrificing the happiness of all these people just for one person to get what they want. And I'm just like, oof. This is why I was like, this should be a really good Kawa episode because Kawa just wants everyone to be happy. He's a very selfless person. Sidebar: Kekra is watching on during this game, and he had more food on the table, and one of them had a cup of tea, and the food had a bite taken out of it. I was like, all right, keep your mysteries, Kakura. Don't tell me how you're eating this food. All right? I get it. Keep your secrets, you froggy bastard. I will find out who is eating Kakura's food. Because for some odd reason, that's important to me. I don't know why. I have problems, honestly. Um, I don't. My issue with I get it. This is Kamen Rider Geats, okay? One of my main issues, though, with how the show has been when we're getting Nan's backstory, that's that we always have to have some revelation either to us watching or to Ace, which kind of takes away what is going on with whoever the episode. Like I was like, this should be a Kawa, really Kawa heavy focused episode. Um, but Ace revelations that he has like kind of squanders that, and I'm just like, damn, like we're we're getting like plot information dumped on most every episode because we are 31 episodes in. I'm assuming if it does go to 50 episodes or 48, like, we're basically more than halfway done with the show easily. So it's like we're about maybe 2/3. So I get they gotta like start giving us some more information, start setting up the end game. But I still have questions about like buckle inventory because at one point we see, oh, sorry, we see Kawa using Twin Command, and I'm like, nice. And I was like, this is cool because we haven't, every once in a while he just I don't think we've seen him use Twin Command since he saved Ace when Baroba was about to shoot him. Other than that, we haven't really seen Twin Command. But at the same time, like he had it, but he's been using Ninja, and I was like, I just trying to figure out like what is going on with the whole buckle inventory, honestly, and why they're picking one power scaling. Because even at one point, we literally have Buffa and Geats finally fighting again, and Geats went with Boost Mark 2, and I'm like, I thought that made him sleepy. But at the same time, Buffa just using Zombie and Jamato buckles, he was holding his own against Boost Mark 2, and I'm like, but 3-4 episodes ago, Ace was just beating the brakes off of Buffa and the Toru imitation Jamato like with ease when it debuted, and now Buffa's holding his own and actually getting the upper hand against him. And obviously, we see Ace use laser boost, and then that's a thing. But just like with power scaling, like so, even at the same time, like Kay was using Twin Command, and the Jamada that Arkham Metal fertilized with his blood is holding his own against that, and even doing some damage. And even Kawa says like this one's oddly enough is stronger. This is weird, and I'm like, yeah. One of the annoying things though that I found out in this episode is there's a lot of repetition in this episode explaining, kind of like not holding our hand, but just overly explaining the same information over and over again, because we have Baroba interrupting like to explain the game. It's like, but the game already started. We're almost done with round one, and you're just explaining everything. And she even reiterates, hey, this is just like the goddess that is the goddess of creation, and if you choose the wrong color, you go to hell, which is why you fall. And then when they're falling, they all turn into like bubbles, and I'm like, Saber, are we gonna get the Wonder Ride Wonder World in this at some point? Because I was like, bubbles are back. But it's like one of those things like she explains, oh, the last person remaining will be given the right to happiness, and I was like, okay, like we kind of got that. This is the same, like I don't know. The rules of the game and the whole parallels to the DGP get like it feels like it's just being drilled into our head in this episode. And one of the cool things I even noticed at this point was like everyone, not just the civilians, all the commoner are included in this game as well as Niram, and she even like points towards Niram, and I was just like, okay, well, if he's included in this, but he's in his little lounge pocket dimension watching, like they're planting a lot of seeds in this for the next episode or like even the next couple episodes. And I was like, okay, I'm cool with this. And like once again, this final round, like it ends abruptly. It's just like it's over, and like everyone just walks away. And like I said, repetition, because Baroba shows up with near Kawa, Ace, and like Buffa, and she even once again reiterates everything about the game itself, but then she plants the nuggets. That's how the DGP is. So I'm like, okay, we're getting like the same information over and over again. I get it, but uh, and that's what she even says. Yeah, the DGP is the same way. The losers of DGP have their happiness. I'm like, okay, like this is something that's like a nice revelation about the DGP of how the wishes work, but at the same time, I'm like, the subtle character plot points moving forward for Keiwa in this are what intrigued me the most. It was the best because even Keiwa goes to approach Kekura and he even talks to him, and even Kekura's like, "Oh, it's a serious talk," and he brings up, why some civilians don't come back after the world's reset, and he mainly mentions his parents. And we found out, and he even says, we bring up like the scales and the balance of things, like light and darkness. Like, hey, only so many people in the world can be happy. There has to be a balance. In order for someone to be rich, there has to be people who are poor. And I think this was planting the seed for Keiwa, and we see it towards the end that how unfair things are, and then also realizing Ace keeps winning, so he keeps getting these wishes at the expense of all these other people's happiness. So I have this thing. They're building up to Keiwa versus Ace. Honestly, as much as I want to see Michinaga and Ace finally like have that one-on-one with no outside interference, just both them just going to town and beating each other up, I kind of want to see Keiwa lose his shit. Um, Also, Daichi. Okay, I brought up the fact that I liked Daichi when he showed up during the horrible disaster arc. I like his character the way it was introduced. This know-it-all, this genius, this really observant and intellectual person. He is such a nothing burger lately in this whole JGP stuff, and it's kind of annoying to me because like he had such potential to be a good character, just like Punk Jack. Punk Jack has been gone. I'm like, where the fuck is Punk Jack? Okay, uh, you know, and Daichi is basically the one who reveals that he is basically the son of the goddess of creation. And this is when I bring up because Keiwa was listening in, and he was even listening in when Niram and Ace were talking, which I glossed over. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I have some notes. I this episode was kind of frustrating to watch. And Keiwa, I feel like he's getting ready to go over the edge because the way he was looking at Ace and talking to Ace and grabbed him by his collar and this and that, I could see the seeds planted of Keiwa losing it. Like, I'd like to see Keiwa get a berserk form. That would be insane if he just finally goes over the deep end and goes after Ace. And because even he points out like no one else is going to be sacrificed on his watch, and I'm like, shit. Like, Keiwa's his body language, his facial expressions, his tone, his like everything. Like, I was like, yeah, this kid, he's going through it. He's definitely like done with this bullshit, and that's why I'm like, oh, we're getting serious. Okay, well then the round starts, and just like I bring up the buckle inventory, he starts using the ninja buckle, and I'm like, dude, you just had Twin Command. Why are you using ninja? But even then, like, dude, like, man, Angry Keiwa is a beast. Like, he, even in uniform, he was just beating the brakes off the Jamato. He was not messing around. And I was like, this is cool. But another thing, like, which really also I think sends Keiwa is this whole time this other unnamed girl. She might have been named at one point, who's a civilian. She's been kind of scared and started all this thing, and she sees the circle underneath her start to disappear. She runs and jumps and pushes someone else into it. And Keiwa sees that, and I think he's starting to realize, hey, not everyone's nice. He's finally seeing that balance that Kakarot was talking about. And I was like, okay, there's a lot of subtle, like, there's so much subtleties in Keiwa's character, like what he's realizing right now. And I'm glad it's not like thrown in our face 100%, but at the same time, I would like more focus on Keiwa. But I don't think that's going to be the case because Buffa starts basically interjecting, beating Keiwa up, and tosses him through a hole, and he turns into bubbles. So I'm like, did Keiwa just get yeeted? I don't even know. I haven't used the yeet counter in so long. So, yeet counter. Keiwa got yeeted. I forgot I had the yeet counter, but here it is. We got a yeet, and I count it. Okay, please, I count it. I haven't used it in like over almost 20 episodes. So yeah, and it was just this episode. It's just weird. I don't know. Something fell off about this episode. I don't know what it is exactly. I'll figure it out at some point. And then, even the good thumbnail bait we had at the end with Ace just standing by watching and staring at the fake goddess as all the bubbles are going to it. And then, Michinaga shows up And he even says he got rid of Tycoon and that him and Ace are all that's left. And the weird thing, I want more information on Arkham Metal. And I'm just, because like he was in the beginning, like, you know, and everything else. But at the end, he's, you know, trying to fertilize the Jamato to get more power. And he ends up being like, sacrifice himself. And the Jamato eats him while Daichi is looking on, like, in scared out of his like mind. But like, and then the Jamato transforms into Arc Metal, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I feel like there's so much stuff going on with, and it's just like too much. And my fear is we're gonna get a lot of episodes where there's a lot of stuff being like dumped onto us from information, and it's just gonna make it feel like it's rushed and not a lot of thought was put into it. I'm still hopeful. I still like Geats. I think it's visually appealing. I do enjoy the characters. I just think right now they're trying to like rush and set up so much stuff and end this current arc. And like I think next week's episode is probably the end of the arc of this arc, possibly. I hope so. I need like I don't know. I'm not even gonna theorize. But yeah, that's it for like Geats episode 31. I apologize, like for the quality of the video. Like I said, I'm really sick right now, and I still have to watch King Osher. I haven't watched King Osher at the time of recording this. I'm actually recording this Wednesday morning, so I just watched Once and Always last night at midnight because I couldn't sleep, and I was like, I'm just gonna watch it. But let me know what you guys think of Geats in the comments below. If you haven't already, I'm like 23 subscribers away from 1,000, which I appreciate everyone who's been checking out the channel and subscribing and commenting. But yeah, let me know what your theories are. Like I said, I don't theorize as much, but I do enjoy reading your guys' theories. They're actually some really good ones. So I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.